For the last 7 decades, from Connie Mack to Charlie Manuel, and every manager and player in between, Bill Campbell's voice has been a comforting sound to Philadelphia sports fans. A critical voice? Absolutely. But also a voice that has exuded class, integrity, and just plain old unbridled enthusiasm. Hello, everybody. This is Sam Carchidi, author of Bill Campbell, the voice of Philadelphia sports. And thanks to KYW's Bill Roswell, we've put together snippets of some of Bill Campbell's most memorable broadcasts. So sit back, relax, and enjoy listening to the man we call the Dean.
He has 100 points, ladies and gentlemen.
We have over 67,000 people jammed into Franklin Field today.
Touchdown!
The players are involved in matters unrelated to playing the game on the field.
Here's a looper into center field that might drop for a base hit. They're coming on hard, and they can't get him.
This isn't a softball team. That was Bush.
Fans are shelling out good money for expensive tickets.
The game's over! The game's over!
Bill Campbell was the voice of the Philadelphia Eagles from 1956 to 1964. None of his broadcasts was more famous than December 26, 1960, the day the Eagles played the Green Bay Packers for the NFL championship in Philadelphia.
We have over 67,000 people jammed into Franklin Field today. We've gotten a tremendous break in the weather. You know what freezing temperatures we've been putting up with in this neck of the woods for the last 10 days or so. The temperature in the high 40s, the sun beating down in all its majesty and brilliance, but the field, the tarp on which was only removed today, is extremely hard and in some spots quite muddy. In front of the Eagles bench on the south side across the way, from the 35 to the 50, very heavy going. And I assume that the hardness of this field will disappear into a little goo probably by the second half as these big thundering players move around on it. Green Bay, whose home colors are green, will wear white today with the gold pants, gold helmets, and dark green numerals, very easily identifiable. The Eagles, naturally the home team, will wear the basic green with the white pants and the big white numerals and green helmets. Streamlined on the side with a big white flying eagle. Paul Hornung, one of the great players in the league, a tremendous All-American from Notre Dame, who in the last 2 years has come into his own in pro football ever since Lombardi went to Green Bay, will kick off from right to left. The deep men for the Eastern Conference champion Eagles will be Ted Dean on the far side of the field and Timmy Brown on the near side. Ladies and gentlemen, the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles are about to play the biggest game of their lives, and there'll be bedlam coming out over your loudspeakers for the next several hours. We hope you'll enjoy the play. We hope we can make it enjoyable for you.
Early in the game, Green Bay had a 4th and 1.5 just outside the Eagles' 5-yard line.
The Green Bay reserves come off the bench. They don't send in the kicking team, although Hornung, the kicker's in there. Let's see what they're going to do. There is no field goal try. No field goal try. They need a 1.5 yards. 4th down and a 1.5 yards at the 5.5-yard line. 4th down, one of the big plays of the World Championship game. Bart Starr ready to go. Fumble! The Eagles have the ball. Taylor fumbles. The Eagles have the ball. It could be Marion Campbell. In the mud, I believe Marion Campbell falls on it. On the 5-yard line. Eagles ball, 1st and 10 at the Eagle 5, and what a break to get out of that jam.
With the Eagles facing a 6-0 deficit and being badly outplayed, quarterback Norm Van Brocklin and wide receiver Tommy McDonald electrified the Philadelphia crowd midway through the second quarter.
1st and 10 at the Packer 35, and the Eagles show signs of coming out of it. This is their best penetration and the best spot they've had the ball to date. 1st and 10 at the Packer 35. McDonald goes wide to the right. Everybody else stays orthodox. 1st and 10 on Green Bay's 35. Here's Van Brocklin back to throw. He is looking. He tries to go long. He throws it. He's got a man open. It is McDonald. Touchdown. Well, as they predicted before the game started, the big bomb can often overcome a lot of ball control, and Van Brocklin threw the home run. 35 yards, McDonald running a deep sideline pattern. Ran by Hank Greminger and makes a catch at the 5 and slides into the end zone. It's tied, 6-6. Walston has a chance now to untie it midway through the second quarter. Jurgensen to hold, Walston to attempt the conversion. Bednarik snapping, here's the point. It is up, it is good. It is good. Score, Eagles 7, Packers 6.
With the Eagles holding a 17-13 lead, the outcome came down to one last play.
Wish you could be here to see 67,000 people standing. What an electrifying finish to a great season and a great game. Stars up over the ball. This will be it. Stars back to throw. He takes time. He throws over the middle. It's caught at the 15. Running hard to the 7-yard line. And down on the 7 is Jim Taylor. The game's over. The game's over. The Eagles are the champions of the world. Listen.
Bill announced the Philadelphia Warriors, the Philadelphia 76ers, and Big Five games, but his most famous basketball broadcast occurred on March 2nd, 1962. That was the night the Philadelphia Warriors' Wilt Chamberlain did the unthinkable, scoring 100 points against the New York Knicks in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Bill describes Chamberlain's final 6 points in that contest.
Rodgers has the ball. He's got Chamberlain open underneath. Wilt's got it. He shoots. It's up. It's good. 163 to 143, 96 points. Here's a pass again, stolen at midcourt, but Butcher gets it back. Butcher has it for New York. Butcher to Knowles, who doesn't take a little open layup shot, and they foul Knowles at the foul line. Fouled by Luckenbill, and this is WCAU and WCAU FM. CBS Radio in Philadelphia. Chamberlain at 96. Makes the foul. 165 to 144, and Knowles makes the next one. The Warriors are now within 8 points of the all-time team total. Parisi with the ball down the right side, passes to Chamberlain. He's open. He shoots and scores. 167 to 145. He has 98. Chamberlain steals the inbound pass. No good. Johnny Green has it. Down to Garrett. Chamberlain stole the inbound pass and took a shot at within and out. New York with the ball. Into the backcourt now to Cleveland Buckner. Back to Garrett. They're not taking the shot. They're eating up time. Garrett is fouled by Luckenbill. 1 minute and 1 second to play. Chamberlain at 98. He can make it easily. The Warriors are going to take time out, I believe. Garrett's on the line. The Warriors now are within 6 points of the all-time league record for most points in a regulation game, which is 173. Boy, records have busted out all over. Discussion now in the lane between referee Willie Smith, Richie Garrett, and Joe Ruckley. Garrett, who's really jabbering, I don't know what he's arguing about. Room has 29 in this quarter. That sets a new league record for a quarter for one man. The individual record for a quarter, 29, just broken by Chamberlain. That's his own record. It was 28. Garrett on the foul line misses. 1 minute and 1 second to play. He has 98 points in professional basketball. I'll tell you, that's a lot of points if you're playing grammar school kids, isn't it? Garrett misses another. He's on the line again. Here it is. It's up. It's good. 167 to 146. Now let's see if they found somebody quick. Rodgers throws long to Chamberlain. He's got it. He's trying to get up. He shoots. No good. The rebound, Luckenbill. Back to Chamberlain. He shoots up. No good. In and out. The rebound, Luckenbill. Back to Rucklick. Into Chamberlain. He made it. He made it. That's it for nothing. He made it. The fans are all over the floor. They stopped the game. People are running out on the court. 100 points for Wilt Chamberlain. They stopped the game. People are crowding, pounding him, banging him. The Warrior players are all over him. Fans are coming out of the stands. The most amazing scoring performance of all time. 100 points from the Big Dipper. People are all over the court. They're taking pictures. Flashbacks are going on. They're hollering on the PA to clear the floor, but it's going to take a few minutes. He has 100 points, ladies and gentlemen, with 46 seconds left.
In 2005, Bill Campbell was honored with the Kurt Gowdy Award by the Basketball Hall of Fame. KYW's Matt Leon interviewed Bill in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Spending a few minutes now with Bill Campbell, KYW's own Bill Campbell, Philadelphia broadcasting legend who is being honored here, NBA Hall of Fame weekend. And first of all, Bill, thanks for the time and congratulations.
Thank you, Matt, and it's nice to run into you today on the plane. You know, it's kind of interesting. You've broadcast as long as I have. Yesterday was my birthday, and I invited all these people to a birthday party, and they all arrived a day late, every one of them. I've been broadcasting, this is my 7th decade. All you young guys are going to be wondering when I'm going to give this thing up. But it's been great, and it's very, very gratifying. As you know, Matt, we don't really broadcast to win awards, but if somebody thinks you've done a decent enough job to honor you as part of a nice affair like this, it's really very gratifying.
Being enshrined, being honored here, how did you find out about this?
I got a phone call from a gentleman named Dean O'Keefe. Actually, he tried to find me at KYW and couldn't, and he tried to find other places where I might have been. He had a difficult time trying to get my home phone number. He remembered that Phil Jasner of the Philadelphia Daily News had won the Print Journalism Award here the year before, last year. And he just took a gamble that Phil might have my home phone number. And he called Phil Jasner. And fortunately, to my surprise, Phil Jasner had my home phone number. And that's how I found out about it.
Was it ever something that you thought possible? Was it ever something you sat back and said, boy, that would be really something one day, or were you taken completely by surprise?
Well, I was taken completely by surprise. I'm in about 3 or 4 different halls of fame now, and I've been surprised by all of them. I've been surprised that the people would have that much consideration and that much, it's nice to be nominated and considered and all. Well, I was really, really quite surprised, but it's I don't mean to overuse the word. It's very, very gratifying, and I'm really honored and pleased to be here.
And I know your family made the trek out here, and that's got to be special to be able to share it with them.
Well, they're having as big a kick out of this as I am. It's really, they're glad to be here, and my daughter is a lawyer. I'm glad that she could be here to help me run this thing, get the travel tickets and all that stuff. Isn't that what lawyers are supposed to do? That's why they go to law school all the time, learn all that stuff. But I'm really glad to see you here, Matt. I think it's wonderful that you're representing the station and come up here to cover this, and I'm really honored to have you here.
And final question, people that want to get into this business, obviously there's probably no better person to ask than you. What should people concentrate on? What is important in making it in broadcasting?
Well, I think the most important thing is vocabulary and a good background in English, and being able to ad-lib and being able to speak extemporaneously. I think, too, that the best broadcasters I have been around and the best broadcasters I have heard are also pretty good writers. I think writing is very important, and I think that's an area of our business that's being neglected these days.
Bill, thanks so much. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Matt, and thanks for being here.
Early in his career, he could almost hear the reverence in Bill Campbell's voice as he talked to Connie Mack, the legendary manager and owner of the Philadelphia Athletics. In 1947, Mack was the guest of honor at his 85th birthday party, and Bill Campbell talked to him during the festivities.
Mr. Mack, in conclusion tonight, as a gentleman who is very honored to consider you a personal friend, on top of all these distinguished people here tonight, may I offer you my personal congratulations on your 85th birthday. Mr. Mack, it's a great pleasure to talk to you on this occasion.
Well, it's very nice of you, Bill, and I appreciate it greatly. Bill, I'd like to say more, and I will say more, providing that you
Mr. Mack, I won't hold you up more than a moment. Festivities are still going on here in the mirror room of the Warwick. But in your 85th year and going into another great American League season, how does the baseball season look to you for next year?
Well, I think we're going to have a big year, Bill. And in fact, I think we're going to play so many night games that we're going to do even better than we did last year. And we broke all the records last year by our attendance. Yes.
Well, Mr. Mack, I'll be soon again in spring training, I hope. And may I say this to you just in conclusion, 85 years from now, when you're 170, I hope I'm still around to say happy birthday.
I hope so, Bill. Nothing would please me more than to see you and to be with you on any occasion that I can possibly be, because I think a lot of you, Bill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mack. It's awfully nice of you. Thank you, sir, very much.
Bill was one of the Phillies broadcasters from 1963 to 1970. In 1964, a rookie named Richie Allen burst onto the Phillies scene. Broadcasting some of Allen's monstrous homers at Connie Mack Stadium became one of Bill's calling cards.
There she goes. Oh, what a drive. Over the soft drink side. Boy, I'll tell you, he's too much. He is much. He hadn't played in 2 days, and 2 days ago he couldn't even grip the bat. And he hits a 3-2 curveball right over the soft drink sign on the roof. He is too much.
Big string bean right-hander comes sidearm again. A tremendous drive. Way up on the roof in center field. A home run. Oh, Davis. Allen gives Noriega a couple of looks as he comes down the line from third to home. But he really answered him back.
I believe he really wanted to hit one there. He was very upset about being low bridge. I'm sure it wasn't intentional by Noriega, but that ball almost dead center field, right in front of the sign and on top of the roof.
Now took his batting helmet off and faced the crowd and gave him a big tip of the cap. Marshall will pitch from the stretch for the first time, and here's the first one to Allen. Shortened up that center field fence, particularly for Richie Allen. And this is the Phillies' 22nd home game, and Richie flies it right over the 410 sign, right over the new center field fence, and this game is tied.
In 1964, Cincinnati's Chico Ruiz stole home to beat the Phillies 1-0 and start a 10-game losing streak that cost the Philadelphia Phillies the National League pennant. Incredibly, 2 games earlier, the Phillies lost a game in the 16th inning when a Dodger player also stole home. It was after 4 a.m. in Philadelphia when Bill described the scene from Los Angeles.
Laurie Stevens is throwing in the bullpen, and Mark will make the change right now. Tommy Davis goes to second as Stevens goes into the windup, and here's a straight-tooth ball to Fairley. They're not worried about Tommy Davis. He's at second now. They're concerned with trying to keep Willie Davis at third. Here goes Willie Davis to the plate. He's safe. He steals home, and the game is over. Willie Davis struck to the plate. Stevens threw. The throw skidded away from Dalrymple a little bit to the right, and Willie Davis safe at the plate. What a way to end the ball game.
Shortly after Bill retired from WIP in 1992, the Phillies invited Bill into the broadcast booth to do a few innings with his old pal, Richie Ashburn. 22 years after they had worked together, the chemistry was still there. Harry Kalas reintroduced Bill to his radio audience.
Well, longtime Philadelphia broadcaster Bill Campbell honored tonight here at Veterans Stadium, voice of the Phils, the Eagles, and the Sixers. And Bill is here to work with his old colleague Whitey Ashburn in innings 2 and 3. Bill, take it away.
Thank you very much, Harry. It's a real privilege to be here. And as I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted 22 years ago. It's really, thank you, Harry, for that gracious introduction. And Whitey, it's nice to be able to sit in with you. Mark Lemke is the batter, hitting at .240, and the count is 1-1. As Schilling, who had a rough first inning, tries to get himself back in harness here. 2-0 Atlanta as we go to the top of the second, and a fly ball hit to center field. Javier comes into left center and makes the catch, and Lemke is out of there on the third pitch to him. Whitey, how you doing?
Hanging in there, Bill. Good to see you back. You're looking good. You sound good, and it looks like you're retiring from everything.
Well, not really. It's really more of a semi-retirement, Whitey, than anything. But it's just got to be. I don't know how you've done it. I don't know how you stay in doing this day in and day out and make all these trips and everything. Here's Charlie Lebrant, the batter, with 1 out, nobody on in the second. Schilling delivers, and he chops a foul at the plate. Lebrant jumps ahead of him now, 0-2, and here's a ground ball hit to the right side. Second baseman Duncan up with the ball as an easy play and throws him out, and there are 2 men gone here in the Atlanta second as Lebrant taps weakly to the right side to Mariano Duncan. It'll bring up Otis Nixon.
Phillies pitchers, Bill, we were talking about this early, have given up in the last 6 games 13 runs, 10 of those in the first inning, 3 of those in the second inning. So pitchers are obviously having a problem in the beginnings of games.
You guys have had such an unpredictable season, leading the league in runs, leading the league in scoring runs. It's like you had any kind of pitching at all, you ought to have a good year. There's Schillings pitched to Otis Nixon, and he takes it high outside for a ball. He struck out looking in the first inning. Braves leading 2-0. Schillings a very quick worker. One of the things you like about him. Here's a ground ball chopped through the middle for a base hit. Weinbell can't get to the ball. He broke to his left, and the ball scoots on by him for a ground ball base hit to center field by Otis Nixon. It will bring up Deion Sanders.
One reason that Otis Nixon gets a lot of those hits is that they play him like the infield's in all the time. You have to because of his speed and because he bunts so well.
Sound like I know another guy that used to play like that all the time.
Well, yeah, that's true. I used to get a lot of those too.
I never saw him play personally, but I read about him a great deal. If you look at the defense against Nixon, that's the way they used to play Ashburn. Deion Sanders hitting at 300 coming into the ballgame tonight. Hit a shot to center field in the first inning on which the center fielder, here's a ground ball base hit up the middle for another base hit, and Nixon stops at second, bluffs as if he might go, and Javier comes up throwing, and it's a ground ball base hit. Back-to-back ground ball base hits to center by the Braves. With 2 outs here in the second, will bring up Pendleton. Sanders was out on a great play by Javier in the first inning on a sinking line drive in the gap in right center. Pendleton singled to center in the first inning and came around to score. And he's 7 for his last 18 as a hitter, hitting at .307. This guy's having another terrific year, Whitey.
You remember what this means?
Yeah. We pause for station identification. This is the Phillies Baseball Network.
Never forget.
How about that?
Bill and I started broadcasting with By Sam in 1963. And, of course, we remember the 64 season so well.
Oh, boy. Oh, man. It's just incredible to me that where has the time gone? It's just unbelievable.
Your sensitive stomach, I believe it was, enabled me to probably go through one of the greatest thrills I ever had in this business.
What was that?
Jim Bunning's perfect game.
Whitey, every time you tell that story, every time you tell that, wait a minute, here's a looper into center field that might drop for a base hit. They're coming on hard and they can't get him. Hit it right off his fist. Jordan bloops the ball to center. Hit it right off his hand for a base hit to center field. Every time I read somewhere where you're telling that story about why I missed that game, once you said it was because I was sick. Another article I read where you said it was because Chrissy was graduating. Actually, what happened was that my mother died. My mother died. That's why I missed that game. You were never much for sick.
No, you never want to let the facts stand in the way of a good story.
That's
you taught me that.
That's right.
When Bill did a sports talk show on WIP, he stirred conversation with his objective opinions that gave him the label, the voice of reason. For instance, when the Eagles' Randall Cunningham and Reggie White campaigned for coach Buddy Ryan to get a contract extension, Bill took the stars to task.
It's just a personal opinion of mine, and I don't own the team, and I don't run it. I suspect that he probably feels a little bit more annoyed about it than he's willing to admit, but that's purely my guess. But it's just been a feeling of mine that football players, particularly of the caliber of White and Cunningham, are paid a lot of money to play the game, and both of them played very well in a losing cause on Sunday. But they're not being paid to advise the owner or the management on who should coach or how long his contract should be and when he should be granted an extension and all that. That's something that is the prerogative of the owner and management and is really none of the players' business. It's just the feeling here that, and strictly my own personal opinion, that one of the Eagles' big problems is that the players are involved in matters unrelated to playing the game on the field. That should be their business and their sole business, and that should be their sole concern, and some of them haven't done all that good a job in that area. And what particularly bothers me is that a coach would allow this public lobbying on the part of his players to continue. I consider that unfortunate. And I think that management shouldn't tolerate it either, but again, that is my private opinion. It doesn't seem to bother Mr. Brayman at all. Reggie White and Randall Cunningham were great players. I respect them highly as individuals, but I'm just compelled, as a matter of personal opinion, to say that their constant talking in the media on the subject of Buddy Ryan and his contract is, in my opinion, tremendously counterproductive to the best interest of this football team. And if the best interest of this football team are the paramount concern of Buddy Ryan, and I certainly think that's the case, then I would carefully and forcefully instruct my players to keep their thoughts to themselves and let the contract talk remain between the coach and management, or the coach and the owner. Players, in my opinion, should not be involved in all that business. It is out of their area. Their arena is the football field. They have much, much to accomplish there. And to even insinuate that their problems are all about Buddy and his contract sounds ominously to me like a very pale excuse for losing.
On July 10th, 1992, Bill did his last show on All Sports WIP.
Bill Campbell, 610 WIP.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. This is it. It's finally come. If I had known that those guys were going to say all those nice things about me, I would have quit a long time ago, just so I could hear all those. It's really difficult to even begin a broadcast here today after listening to what Ange and Tony and Al just said, but I appreciate it. It's just I'm inadequate to tell you. I just finished reading Bill Conlin's column, and a little difficult to accept all this. But I want to thank you three guys for what you said down there at the hotel here today. I couldn't believe that. I thought you were talking about somebody else, but I really appreciate it. I don't know how to even begin here today. The station was nice enough to have a party in my honor at Downey's last night. It was a lot of fun. Howard Eskin was there, and I want to thank Howard for coming. Howard had spent the whole day at Saucon Valley and did his broadcast last night from Summer to Springs and took the time to drive all the way down into Center City, and I appreciate it. What do you think Howard gave me as a gift? You will never believe. Jack Williams, our chief executive officer, just heard me say that as he walked down the hall. What do you think Howard gave me as a gift? Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. 3 golf balls. 3 Wilson TC3 golf balls, which I'm sure he got for nothing. And inscribed on each golf ball, Howard Eskin the King. Howard Eskin the King, inscribed on each golf ball.
Bill never sugarcoated his opinion. Even during his farewell show in 1992, he took time to criticize the uniforms worn by the Phillies in the previous game.
The other thing that the Phillies did yesterday that I found a little bit distasteful was to come out and play a game in their practice jerseys. Hey, boys, this is the major leagues. This is the major leagues. This is the National League of Professional Baseball. This isn't a softball team. I mean, that was Bush. Absolute. So you're trying to break a streak and all that nonsense. You dress like major leaguers. I thought that was terrible, to go out there and play a game on television and before a crowd of people paying their money, and to play in their practice jerseys. I mean, are you kidding me? If you're going to play in your practice jerseys, then don't charge anybody. Let them all in for nothing. Let them all in see the game for nothing. I mean, what's going on here?
When radio personality Joe Conklin was with WIP, he frequently impersonated Campbell and did comedy routines based on the Dean. In one routine, Conklin impersonated Campbell and the Daily News' Stan Hochman and had them reciting his version of Abbott and Costello's Who's On First.
I'm telling you, Bill, they give baseball players peculiar names nowadays. On the WIP team, who's on first? What's on second? I don't know's on third.
Well, that's why I want to find out. I want you to tell me the names of the fellows on the team.
I'm telling you, who's on first? What's on second? I don't know's on third.
You know the fellows' names?
Yes.
Well, then who's playing first?
Yes.
I mean the fellow's name on first base.
Who?
The fellow's name of the first baseman.
Who?
The guy on first base.
Who is on first base?
Well, what are you asking me for?
I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. Who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's the man's name, Bill.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Well, then go ahead and tell me.
Who?
The guy on first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who was on first?
Have you got a first baseman on first?
Certainly.
Well, all I'm trying to do is find out what the guy's name is on first base.
No. What's on second base?
I'm not asking who's on second.
Who's on first?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Well, now, don't change the players around.
Well, I'm not changing anybody.
Now, come on, take it easy, Bill.
What's the guy's name on first base?
What's the guy's name on second base?
For God's sake, I'm not asking about second.
Who's on first?
I don't know, Stanley.
He's on third. We're not talking about him.
How can I get on third base on this side?
You mentioned his name.
If I mentioned third baseman name, what would I say?
No. Who's playing first?
Oh, stay off of first, will you?
Please. Now, what is it you'd like to know?
What's the fellow's name on third base?
What is the fella's name on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second, for crying out.
Who's on first?
I don't know. Third base.
After stepping down from WIP, Bill joined KYW News Radio and did 3 sports commentaries a week. They always seem to hit home with listeners.
Here we are 2 days before the Super Bowl, still talking about T.O. and McNabb. And this time the instigator is McNabb. Such childish nonsense. We have all taken our shots at T.O. The other day in Detroit, McNabb took time from selling soup to whine a little. Except for admitting that his sports hernia symptoms date back to July in training camp, and calling his fuss with Owens black-to-black crime, it was the same old soap opera. I find it amazing that with Allen Iverson and Peter Forsberg injured at mid-season, we are still headlining these prima donnas from a failed Eagles season. This latest whine won't improve the dissension in the locker room, and it's unfortunate that neither player is in the Super Bowl. After multiple postseason games, the closest Donovan McNabb comes to this one is selling soup. This is Bill Campbell, KYW News Radio. When you get what you want in your struggle for gain, and the world makes you king for a day, just go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what that man has to say. Those are the words of a poem I've always cherished, written by Dale Wimbrough in 1934. Those words always come to mind when I read about some alleged misconduct or violation committed by one of our modern athletes, most of whom are so ridiculously overpaid for playing games most of us would play for nothing. Something like Rick Tockett's alleged gambling affiliation is just mind-boggling. And if you don't think these things happen on an almost daily basis, just check the transactions column in your favorite sports section. The last stanza of that poem reads, "You may fool the whole world down your pathway of years and get pats on the back as you pass, but your final reward will be heartaches and tears if you've cheated the man in the glass." I'm Bill Campbell on KYW News Radio. Whenever someone leaves the scene, there is, at least for me, some special memory that transcends all others. In John Chaney's case, you'd think it would be a game. NCAA, Atlantic 10, Big 5, whatever. But my most vivid Chaney memory will always be a eulogy he delivered at the funeral of his treasured assistant, Jim Maloney, several years back. I could still see and hear him, pointing at the casket and saying, "Jimmy would always have been able to get along without me, but I don't know how I can possibly get along without Jimmy." Temple just recently hired a new football coach. Now it must replace a legend. Loud, boisterous, controversial, you bet, but also honorable, humble, loyal, who always reminded us that reaching the ceiling required lifting up the floor. This is Bill Campbell, KYW News Radio. 33 years ago, in 1973, I broadcast the games of the worst 76ers team ever. It went 9-73. I thought about that team last night while watching this 76ers team roll over in Cleveland. Don't these guys care? Allen Iverson's post-game comment was appalling. The one about some guys came to play and some guys didn't. These guys are making millions. Fans are shelling out good money for expensive tickets. Who is responsible for this mess? If it's not the coach, is it the general manager? And how come the chairman allows it to continue? Last night, the 76ers allowed season highs for most points in a period, most in a half, most in a game. They lost by 33 points and were out-rebounded 50-27. That 9-73 season was the longest of my life, with an incompetent coach and hardly any talent, or fans for that matter, and the tickets were much cheaper. The current Sixers play the almost as bad Chicago Bulls tonight. The Bulls were 17 down last night in the fourth quarter and rallied to beat Indiana. The Sixers might win tonight, but don't bet on it. This is Bill Campbell, KYW News Radio. There are 2 baseball players who made headlines on opening day who might have changed the direction of Phillies baseball had they remained here. They left for basically the same reason. They didn't think that the Phillies were serious about building a winner. On Monday, the Cardinals' Scott Rowland helped blow the Phillies out with 3 hits, including a grand slam, as the boos rained down upon him. And there was Curt Schilling, apparently healthy again, pitching 7 strong innings as the Red Sox defeated the Rangers in Texas. How would an infield of Rowland, Rollins, Utley, and Howard look in Phillies red these days? That Rowland and management were unable to work something out here has already had an effect. And wouldn't a 39-year-old pitching veteran like Schilling, who threw 117 pitches on Monday, be a solid leader on a young Philly staff with much potential? Unfortunately, we'll never find out. This is Bill Campbell, KYW News Radio. Driving back from Jim Boyle's funeral mass the other day, I thought about the ups and downs of the Big Five in this its 50th year. That it has stabilized after a half-century is rather remarkable. But in this year, just over the last few months, it has lost Bob Vitrone, John McAdams, and Jim Boyle. Hardly cause for celebration. And in the NFL, there is Tony Dungy, a coach I wish I had known. His words at his son's funeral are worth remembering, about hugging your kids every chance you get because you don't know when it's going to be the last time. Dungy also asked his players at the service to remember that they really are role models, and he urged them to reach out to young people, to kids like his son, who was searching for who that person really was inside of him, who he was going to be, like most of us, even into maturity. It's about what Jim Boyle would have said. A poignant thought to close out the old year and ring in the new. This is Bill Campbell, KYW News Radio.
Bill Campbell is heading toward his 8th decade in broadcasting, and he is just as passionate, just as enthusiastic, and just as emotional as he was when he said goodbye to his WIP listeners back in 1992.
If I had known that all of these people, these distinguished citizens, would be saying all these things about me, I guess I'd have quit a long time ago. But the last thing I'd like to say is, above all, I owe a great debt of gratitude to all of you. A debt of gratitude that I can really never repay. For without you allowing me to visit with you every day, without you, I don't know what I might have done. Good day, good sports, and God bless you.